Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm here to be talking about My Hero Academia seasons 1 through 5. Now, I got into this show recently from a good friend of mine, the same one who got me into Naruto. He basically gets me into a lot of this anime stuff. And just know, I'm going to do something similar like I did with the Flash video, how I reviewed, seasons 1 through 6 and in one video. So I'm going to be really quick with these. I'm going to go through them and I'm going to dive into My Hero Academia. Now, before I get into it, though, just know that this is a spoiler video. I'm going to say some spoilery points per season. So if you haven't seen any of the seasons or you aren't caught up, you can either click out of the entire video, or if you look in the description, I'll have time codes for when I talk about each season. So if you've seen like seasons 1 through 4, but you haven't got to see season 5, which is pretty recent, you can watch up to season, when I talk about season 4, and then just come back after you catch up with season 5. So remember, in the description, there's time codes. And again, thank you all for watching this. Now, time to dive into this. So, My Hero Academia is this incredibly successful manga and anime where it's pretty much, my friend, how he sold it to me was, if you like Marvel, you'll love this show. Because it's an anime filled with superheroes. And what they call them is their abilities, they call them quirks, which, something new to call having the superhero power. So you follow the main character, Izuku Midoriya, who grew up in this world of all these superheroes with incredible abilities and stuff, and he always wanted to have a superhuman ability, but he was one of the unlucky ones that was born without a quirk until he meets his number one idol, his hero, All Might. After meeting him, he eventually gets said quirk, and he's able to join UA with a bunch of other students with powers, and they go on adventures and do all sorts of stuff. Now, here's the beginning of when I start with season 1. So, season 1 is it's like an introduction season, how a lot of shows do an introduction season. It's the shortest season of the show, I believe, and when you look at the show going forward, how the show does it is it'll have 2 intros, and each intro is basically a sum up of that arc and that story. How the seasons are is they have about 2 story threads. This season, since it's shorter, it's only 13 episodes, it's just one thread. I call it the introduction season, and it introduces you to the world, the main characters, specific abilities for each character, who the main rivals or villains are. There's some good action, really solid animation. All around, this was a really great start for the show. It took an episode or 2 for me to really click with it, but once I was invested, I was really enjoying the ride that it was taking me on. Again, there was a lot of memorable moments. The finale, like the final couple episodes of this season, stand out really well. It's really good. The animation's really good, and throughout the show it gets really better, like better and better. There's some truly jaw-dropping moments that I'll discuss later, but overall, it's this introduction season. There's a few episodes that don't really click with me, but again, it picks up steam, especially near the end of the season. So that was my overall thoughts on season 1. Diving into season 2. Now, this is the first of pretty much the rest of the seasons have 2 main arcs. This one is basically the sports festival arc, the beginning, where they all show off their quirks and powers and battles against each other, races, tournaments, all sorts of stuff, to see who's the best at said school. And this one I really love a lot because it dives into more of each of the students and characters. It builds on what their quirks are, what their abilities are, how they interact off each other, how they fight in battles. There's some new characters they introduce, good themes that they dive into with the motivations for why a lot of the characters are there to want to pursue their dreams to be a hero or to, all sorts of good stuff. I really do like that. And some of the fights are really great. A standout one in particular, which my friend was telling me about that, and you could tell from the intro that this fight would be hype, was when Todoroki, he's one of the main classmates of the show, he has half fire, half ice powers, and he's the son of the current number 2 hero. And it really dives into a lot about how his upbringing was pretty rough, because his dad was a jerk, to say the least, and he always pushed him to try to be better and do be stronger and you'll surpass All Might and you'll be the number one. And he was like grooming him to be that, but he treated him horribly. It really dives into how he was a horrible husband, and he kind of psychologically broke the mom, and the mom went crazy and burnt half the kid's face because he looked so much like him. All sorts of wacky stuff. It dives into other dark stuff. Again, it's like the fight sequences, the music, just the animation, everything for this season was really good. And of course, after that, it kind of leads into the second half of the season where there's this villain Stain, who is a quote-unquote hero killer who kills heroes that he deems are unworthy and are just doing it for the attention and fame. And there's a great fight with basically the speedster Ida, who's like the really fast one, Todoroki, and the main character is Yuka Midoriya, and they fight in this alley. That whole sequence and just how it ends was so jaw-dropping and just really good. And what I love about the show is at the end of each season, it perfectly sets up the next season without really leaving on a cliffhanger. It leaves you satisfied. It was just, this season was fantastic from start to finish. There was no episode where I was like, I don't care. I really dug this season. Great moments from the characters, great animation, great, again, all the voice work throughout. Really, like, the voice work is so distinct with their character, just how they look, sounds like how they talk. It's just fantastic all around. This was a great season of not just anime, but television in general. So that was my thoughts on this season. Jump into season 3, which is not, it's either as good or even better, in my opinion, than season 2, because there's 2 like arcs for this one. The beginning, it's like the villains attack the students. Like, they go on this camping trip to try to train and improve their powers, and they get attacked by a group of villains, a lot of who were new because they were followers of Stain, and seeing how Stain became really popular after the events of the end of season 2, a lot of people decided to join the League of Villains, which is the main group of villains. And let me just say, later down in later seasons, like, the villains have great moments, but you learn so much more about their backstories in season 5 in particular, which is just fantastic. And you see all these really good fights and how the students, like, they're still in their first year and they have to fend off against grown-up criminals. Those are really good. And one of the students, Bakugo, who is like kind of like a rival and bully and jerk and all to the main character, he gets kidnapped, so they have to try to rescue him. And that ties into, I have to say, this fight is one of my favorite fights in all of anime. It's All Might versus All for One, and that fight is incredible. Like, just the layers and layers of development between these characters, how much they hate each other, the how everyone's just watching helplessly, because this All Might, he's everyone's favorite hero. Everyone looks up and adores him. To see him brought to this state where it looked like he could potentially lose and he gets battered up, it's just jaw-dropping. It's such a great fight, and it's such a pivotal moment in the show, and it really affects everyone, even people that aren't really that emotional or really do all that sorts of stuff. Everyone was getting invested character-wise in this, and just that moment leveled up the whole season for me, because everything around it and all the stuff going on was great, but just seeing that and then the aftermath was just, it was the icing on the cake. And that's just half the season, guys. That's half the season, because the second half, obviously, it's not as good as what we just talked about, but they get their license so that they can officially go to internships and learn how to be real heroes. So all that stuff was great too. But like I said, fantastic season, wonderful. That was my thoughts on season 3. So we're on to season 4. Now season 4 is kind of divisive among fans because the first half is magnificent according to everyone, and I have to agree. The first half of this season is excellent because it shows a lot of the characters at their internships, and the main villain of this season, Overhaul, he has like this gang organization, and he has this one little girl, it's so messed up, that he's experimenting on because of her quirk abilities. And so when the heroes find out, they all like a lot of pro heroes and all, and 4 of the kids being Izuku Midoriya, Uravity, who is kind of like the they have a crush on each other basically, so she's like the love interest of the show for him. You have Sue Frobby, I'll just call her Frobby because I can't really pronounce her name right now. She's like this frog lady. She has the abilities of a frog in their class. And then Kirishima, who calls himself Red Riot because he turns himself like hard as a rock. He's like made of like really hard materials, and he's basically like a fighter. So those four are part with their interns, like their internships. They go to try to break into the compound to try to save this little girl. It introduces 3 more characters who were in like their 3rd years of the school, and those characters in their own right were really great. Like the show does so well. Like it feels like it's only 20-minute episodes, but there's so much that you digest and learn about. It's just, it always blew me away. And I don't know if it's just me, but there's parts where in animes, they like, you see stuff, right? They re-show it as like flashbacks, like you re-see it, and yet you still learn more stuff from that somehow. I don't know how they do it. I don't know if you guys even get what I'm talking about, but I love that stuff in this type of animes. I really do. And the whole arc about fighting and all, and how it was really interesting because the main villain, who's Tomura Shigaraki and his League of Villains, he doesn't like Overhaul at all. And so their interaction at the beginning of the season, which led to some bloodshed, and the aftermath, like at the end, left my jaw dropped because of how brutal and crazy that was. Overall, this first half was great. Now, the season would be a 9 or a 10, but the second half, oh boy. It is one of my favorite intros of the whole show, if not my favorite intro. But it kind of has what I call the Bluebird effect, where it's basically a filler type of thing, where they have like this lighthearted type of festival to try to cheer up everyone from all the horrific, crazy events that have been going on, as we've discussed. And the Class 1A, which is their class, wants to perform a musical, like perform in the band. And there's these 2 villains, Gentle Criminal, this little girl, and Midoriya has a fight with them. And it's cool and all, but just this whole arc, there isn't really that much more to say. I just pretty much described the whole thing for you. It was a nice little thing, but fans were kind of like, alright, let's get to something interesting here. But that was all I had to say about Season 4. Now Season 5, which was the newest one, it was interesting because a lot of people said that this season was trash for some reason, and that was just filler garbage. But I watched it, and I thought nothing was wrong with it, really. I mean, the first half, you got the Class 1A versus Class 1B, which they've been rivals ever since the sports festival. A lot of kids are, think of each other as rivals and stuff. So seeing them fight and interact off each other in groups of teams and seeing how they all, improved in their abilities and stuff, that's cool and all, but it wasn't as enthralling for me as like the licensing arc or sports festival or stuff we have seen. So it's basically same old with some nice moments in there, I'll give it that. But the thing that makes this season excellent, which a lot of people said was trash for some reason, was the villain arc. The villain arc was amazing. You had episodes, like no heroes were in these episodes. You had episodes dedicated to fleshing out these backstories for a lot of these villains. And these villains fight this other group, the Liberation Front. And the aftermath of that, which, if you've read the manga, leads into some insanity, like all-out war stuff happens. I'm pretty sure it's going to be next season, if not the season after. It has to be next season. Just all the stuff, like, it's like filler, but it's really good filler. Like, it's setting up some really big stuff. It's setting up some really big stuff that's going to happen. It's quite the... It's great, and the episode, probably one of the best episodes, was the episode on Tomura Shigaraki, the guy who, when he touches stuff, it just dissolves, it disintegrates, like some Thanos stuff. It's one of the most heartbreaking, tragic, and craziest things I've seen in quite a while. It's just so horrific, and it just makes me feel a type of way. It's just uncomfortable. But that's a great villain, in my opinion. This show, like I said, those are my thoughts on Season 5. This show is fantastic. Beginning to end, there wasn't a season I hated or didn't like. Some seasons are definitely better than others, which I might as well, since I'm here and I've talked about the 5 seasons, I'll rank them. So at the very bottom, now remember, I love all the seasons. I think they're all really good. But at the very bottom is Season 1. Above that, I'll say is Season 5. And then above that, I'll say is season 4. Above that, it's a tough one, but I'll go with season 2, and then above that, season 3. Yes, I think season 3 is the best one, just slightly. I might change my opinion probably after making this video, because season 2 and 3 are so close to each other. They kind of go around, but I think as of now, I feel like season 3, especially because of that first half of that season, especially that All Might fight, just that made it the best season. But like I said, those are my thoughts on all 5 seasons currently of My Hero Academia. If you want to put down below in the comment section how you want to rank the seasons, or what characters you love, what made you love this show, this manga, etc., please do so, because I love seeing the fan dedication, because this is a truly great show, and I'm looking forward to more content from them. And if you want to hit the subscribe button and the bell as well, that would mean so much to me. And thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.